What's going on, guys? It is Shay here. Welcome back to another video, and this is my first video I am recording for 2026. Kind of crazy how it's about 2 weeks into the new year and I'm just now recording, or if I'm correct, about 2 weeks into the new year and I'm now just recording my first video. I didn't really do many videos last year, but I really hope to do more this year, oriented on, of course, different things, like what my style is, so, yeah. So, as you can see here, we are going to be going back to doing some tier lists, because it's been a hot minute ever since I have done tier lists for anything, honestly. And I've recently been doing it on music a lot, and ever since about September of last year, I've been going through a really big Deftones phase, so we're going to be mainly focusing on Deftones for quite a while. No matter what kind of other music I get into, I'm going to mainly focus on Deftones, so yeah, I don't know. They're just my thing for right now, and competing with System of a Down as being my second favorite band of all time. But enough talk. We're going to be doing these albums for Deftones a little bit out of order. Now, I've actually recorded tier lists for Deftones before. I was supposed to do them in order from Adrenaline, up of course to their current album, Private Music, but I only recorded Adrenaline and Around a Fur, and I deleted those. I don't remember why. I think because I wasn't really into Deftones as much as I am now, so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and jump straight into this with Deftones' fourth album, self-titled, and this is my all-time favorite album from Deftones, literally hands down. I love this album so much, and recently I've been listening to it in full a lot, so yeah, I'm ready to go ahead and jump straight into this. So with that being said, let's begin. So the first song that we have here off of the album, and of course one of the, what looks to be the two singles released from self-titled, is Hexagram. An amazing song, or amazing opener I should say. You're started off, I should point out that Deftones is a very dark, I wouldn't say very dark, but it is a dark album, I should say. This is not your average Deftones album. It's a little bit different from, any of the other albums that they've made, in my opinion, so far when I was on my Deftones journey. When I was, going through it, I kind of realized, damn, dude, self-titled is a dark-ass album. And it is. So Hexagram is a crazy song. It has a lot of allegories hidden, and I think actually every song on the album has a lot of allegories hidden in them. It's kind of like what sounds like a car bombing going on or a terrorist attack happening, but, they're hidden behind euphemisms and, allegories of, how it would be at a concert, because you have some lyrics in this song where it's where there was painting the streets in white, depth is a standard, breach for a complex price, all of that. And you have, that one part of the song where it goes worship, play, just the same words over and over again, which I know the worship part, but I don't know what it means by play. I don't know. I always thought it was pray at one point. But yeah, dude, Hexagram is a dark song, has a lot of energy to it. And it's the one song that doesn't really focus on anything about one of the band members' lives or anything off the album, but Hexagram is amazing. I love this song. S tier. So the next song that we have here is Needles and Pens, which is, of course, as with every song off the album, amazing. Needles and Pens, we're hearing about something relating to two people making a pact of some sort, but I'm not sure what, this pact is being made of. Maybe their friends left them behind or something, or left them for dead, and they're now going to form a pact or something like that. The song is amazing, dude. Good song, but, it's not really up there with, it's up there with one of my favorites, but not so much. And fun fact, but Stephen Carpenter, who was, of course, a guitarist of the band, used a bass on this album, or on this song, instead of using his 7-string guitar, which he decided to use on this album. I don't know if it was Cheese bass, it may have been, but there are two basses in this song. So the main riff you hear is actually a bass instead of a guitar. It's probably possible to do it on a 7-string, but it would probably sound better on a bass. And yeah, amazing song, dude. S tier. So the next song that we have here is Minerva, which is one of the only other songs that were released as a single off of self-titled. And Minerva it's like the first song that has the shoegaze kind of feel to the song. Now I'm not sure what the song is about, but I like to believe that this song is about Chino potentially talking about his ex-wife Celeste, or maybe something relating to her. I'm not sure, but I don't know, man. I like to believe that it's kind of like a breakup song in a way. And that's what a lot of songs off of this album, with a lot of them being kind of relating to like a breakup album, kind of. But Minerva is the one song that kind of hits that, that kind of hits it a little bit, tiny bit, because as I said, there's a good chance that Chino was probably talking about his ex-wife, who he was still married to at the time, but his then wife, time, and yeah, this song kind of brings out the shoegaze kind of vibe that the whole album has, but yeah, Minerva is an amazing song, dude. I listen to this song a lot, and it's a perfect song to listen to when, it's sundown, That is actually with every song off of here, dude. Like, a lot of these songs sound amazing when you listen to them while the sun is setting. It is beautiful. S tier. So the next song that we have here is Good Morning Beautiful. This song has a killer riff, around the first few parts of the song. It sounds amazing. But, however, though, Good Morning Beautiful is not one of my favorites, but I do sometimes like to listen to the song, but it's not one of the songs that I would prefer to listen to if I want to listen to something from self-titled. But it's an amazing song. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, this song is really good. Has a amazing riff, and not sure what the song's about. It could be about how a girlfriend probably having some bad dreams or something like that. I will say a lot of the thoughts of what I think the songs are about comes from my own theory, or they stem from my own theories of what I think a lot of songs from Deftones are about. But I believe that this song is probably of a lady or girl, potentially having bad dreams about her boyfriend leaving her, and then, the whole lyrics where it's like, maybe you should wake up and all that kind of other stuff is probably the boyfriend telling her that, or thinking she's just having a bad dream and intrusive thoughts or something like that. But, I like the song though, but it's not one of my. It's not like I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites. I love the song, but it's also not one of my favorites. So we're gonna be putting this at an A tier. The next song that we have here is Death Blow, the 5th song off the album, and a pretty dark song, I would say. Because all these other songs prior to Death Blow, or up until this point, have had like hidden allegories, or not hidden because what an allegory is, but have had allegories present throughout all the songs and euphemisms and stuff like that. But Death Blow is kind of like what the song is talking about is kind of obvious, and this song is just, I don't know, it's kind of a sad song, dude. As with most songs off the album, but this is where it starts to get sad. I don't know, man. I like to believe that this song is about potentially is potentially about a broken relationship with, a woman and a man, or, whichever one you want to think about. But because the relationship is so broken, they feel like they're being hung up by ropes, to keep themselves, I think it's a way for me to, I'm not sure, but that's what I like to believe that this song is about, is that, it's about a broken relationship, but they want to love each other, but they can't, or not necessarily can't, but, they don't really want to because the relationship is not working out, which is what happens with a lot of relationships. But I like Death Blow, but I don't know, it's more of a calm vibe as well, but also at the same time, it's kind of sad, but I do love this song, though. S tier. So the next song that we have here is When Girls Telephone Boys. One of, if not the most ferocious Deftones song ever. Actually, I wouldn't say the most, but it's up there definitely with one of the most intense and one of the most, craziest Deftones album or Deftones songs I've heard in my life. I was blown away by this song when I first heard this on my first listen through on self-titled. I was blown away, dude. This is my favorite song off the album, if it isn't obvious, because how much I'm glazing the song. But This song is insane, man. Like, just ferocious. And what I like to believe the song is about how a man, leaves his ex-girlfriend or something, or ex-wife, either or, a long voice message about how telling her, don't call me, don't look, don't even come close to me, and if you do see me, don't speak, as of the lyrics, don't speak, don't say anything, or don't say nothing, I should say, and I hope we never meet again. Like, I like to believe is that this guy is pissed off, or a guy is pissed off about, maybe his ex-wife or his ex-girlfriend cheating on him, or something like that, and that's what the song's about. But one of their most intense songs ever, and then with a heavy, I wouldn't say heavy, but, for something like this, like, I imagine that people would be like, what are they turning into? Like, hearing a song like When Girls Telephone Boys is crazy, dude. Like, the song just hits you like a train, man, and for that, this is going in front of every song up here on S tier. So the next song that we have here is Battle Axe, which I like to believe, now I have a lot of thoughts about this song. I like to believe that Battle Axe is a part 2 to Change in the House of Flies from White Pony. But instead, because I like to believe that that song, Change, is about, somebody seeing a, loved one, family member, significant other, and either one of them, changing for, for the better or for the worse. But Battle Axe is if that family member or if that loved one went down a path for the worst, and they're, heavy into drugs, depression. This song is probably one of the saddest Deftones songs. I wouldn't say one of the saddest, but it is sad, dude. This is probably the saddest song off of the album. Like, because apparently with Chino, he decided, or the entirety of Deftones decided to relearn the song again relearn the song for a tour that they were going to be doing, and apparently with Chino, he learned the guitar parts and all that stuff, and he was playing along, and apparently him hearing the lyrics, apparently he said something along the lines of, "This is really depressing," and it took him back to a really shitty part in his life. And every time I hear this song, it's just, like, that's all I think about is, like, my theory that I have on the song, which, is potentially about how a family member is changing for the worst. And I don't know, man. And, like, from the moment you hear the opening riff from Chino, it's just, you're in for a little sadness on that part, man. But Battle Axe, I do like the song, though. S tier. So the next song that we have here is Lucky You, which is a relatively experimental song off of the album, and apparently this song was supposed to be a song for Team Sleep, one of Chino Moreno's side projects that he was doing at the time. And Lucky You, I know a lot of people don't like this song. A lot of people have probably gone off to say that this song is boring. I was actually reading about that a little bit earlier, about how people were saying that Lucky You was one of the most boring Deftones songs they've heard, one of their least favorites. But I love this song. Like, I remember hearing from some guy who makes Deftones documentaries and recently uploaded one on Diamond Eyes, but I watched the one he did on Self-Titled, and I remember when he was talking about the songs, he mentioned something about, put this on in a club and you'll receive the saddest lap dance of your fucking life. I don't know, man. I think Lucky You has that kind of feeling, if you know what I mean, in the song. Like, it's kind of hard to avoid that feeling because it's really, really present in the song with, Chino's seductive kind of singing going on. I love that, dude. I love that a lot. And Lucky You, it's not your average Deftones track, and it fits the album a little bit. But it's kind of but it seems like it's trying to pivot more to a slightly more positive side. But then the next song off the album, which we'll talk about after this, just kind of hits you in the face a little bit. But Lucky You it's in my top 3 of favorites for Self-Titled for a reason. This goes, like, right here on the album, so yeah. So the next song that we have here is Bloody Cape, which just brings it back to that depressing kind of part of the album. And Bloody Cape, I also kind of forgot to mention, like, my take for, or what I think Lucky You is about. Possibly about how a guy is, going to the club, he decides to try his luck to see if he can bring somebody back home with him, and the lyrics are potentially, euphemisms and potentially allegories on what they did back at his house. Maybe a little weird theory that I have, but that's the best I can come up with. And Bloody Cape happens to be a part 2 to Lucky You. Like, about how, like, it's a, like, the whoever, what lady or whoever, he took from, or he took back home from, like, a club or whatever, strip club or something like that, the girl actually decides to stay with them, and something happens down the road where she potentially dies, and then you have that breakdown at the end of the song where Chino's screaming, what out, and that's potentially the guy, grieving over her death, or something like that, dude. I know if whoever's watching this video, they're probably thinking, what the hell kind of theories are you coming up with? But this is what I think it is about. But, yeah. Bloody Cape is an intense song, dude. One of the more intense, well, I would say, probably behind When Girls Telephone Boys is the second most, or actually no, probably even in front of that song as the most intense song off the album. Because the breakdown at the end is what makes it so intense. Like, hearing Chino scream out, "God help me," it's just like, is he getting stabbed? Is he getting hurt while he was recording this fucking song? Like, what was going on? But Bloody Cape is an amazing song, dude, and it's probably one of the heaviest songs on the album, or if not the heaviest song on the album. So yeah, and for right now, this was actually in my top 3 for the thing. I don't remember if it were or not, but somewhere down the line, this may end up changing. But I think it may have been behind Lucky You. I don't remember. I don't know. I don't really remember my own tier list I had for this before, of course, I came here. But Bloody Cape is definitely among one of my favorites off of the album. So the next song that we have here is Anniversary of an Uninteresting Event. This is one of the more, of course, a different song for Deftones standards on this album. Because you have piano in the song, you just have a simple little drum track, and of course you have Chino singing. But I'm not sure what the song is about. I like to believe that this is a part 2 to Bloody Cape, about with, the guy who, with the lady he took from the club that night, they were of course having all this and all that. After her death, he would, kind of think about her on the day that she died, now he has an actual wife, a kid, but every time, that day goes by, he always has to, commemorate or dedicate her on her death day. Or anybody knows probably what the fuck I'm talking about, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of this song, but it does kind of give the album a chance to breathe for a second, because it's like, as with almost every song off the album, it's relatively sad, but it does kind of give the album a chance to breathe. So yeah, it's not one of my favorites, but it's a really good song, A tier. And the last song that we have here is Moana, the last song off of the album, and has recently become probably top 3 favorite of all of self-titled for me, because I have been listening to the song non-stop. I'm going to say non-stop, but I've been listening to the song a lot for the past few days, and maybe even the past week or so. I don't know. The song is amazing, dude. But what I like to believe the song is about, like, of course, my own little broken theory and all that kind of shit, about, again, a guy, a different dude, kind of having a crush on a stage performer, and, she kind of says stuff that's what are the lyrics in the song, of course, to him, when she comes toward him, talks to him, and then potentially his friends are jealous about this or something like that. But I don't know, my theories are really weird for a lot of these, because it's just one of the few things that I concoct in my head about what I think the songs are about. So, but Moana is an amazing song, dude. I love the riff. I love everything about this song. This song is great, dude. So because of that, of course, this is going and probably in front of Bloody Cape. I love this song so fucking much. And there you have it. That is my tier list for Deftones' self-titled album. I'm pretty sure a lot of people probably have clicked off of this video because of my stupid theories I have on the song, or all the songs I've ranked up here. But yeah, this album is crazily, not wouldn't say crazily heavy, but for at the time the album was released, which was in 2003, and of course with all the other albums that Deftones have released, this one was probably the most insane and probably the heaviest that they've ever made at the time. Because you had White Pony, which is more of a hard rock and or alt metal, alt rock kind of album. Around the Fur and Adrenaline were like new metal kinda, and then you have Deftones, self-titled, which is kind of more of alt metal, and having these heavy as 7-string riffs in G sharp standard, by the way, which is a heavy detune, which is a really, I wouldn't say really heavy, but a heavy sounding detuning for guitar, and of course a G sharp standard on bass as well. Like, this album sounds, I wouldn't say sounds, it's just I need to stop trying to say that like crazy heavy or anything. It's a heavy album, like in terms of the sound. One, if not Deftones' heaviest album ever, because of with that riff and everything, dude. Like, it has to be one of their heaviest, if not their heaviest album, that they've ever released. And yeah, man, like, this album, I remember this album is also one of a lot of Deftones' fans' like least favorite album, because it's not what they thought it would have been, like White Pony Part 2 or something like that, which I'm glad it's not White Pony Part 2, because I don't think that they want to do, or at the time, and still even till this day, they don't want to keep doing the exact same thing throughout their entire career until they retire or something like that, which I think Stefan has said before. So yeah, this album is amazing, my all-time favorite album from Deftones for a reason. And I will continue to listen to this album for as long as I live. So, with that being said, thanks everybody for watching, if you are still watching this video. But, yeah, I just wanted to give my own thoughts on these songs and rank them the way I want them to be. So, yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.